Today we are talking about SoFi. So, backing it up a little bit, most people, they don't really think too much about which banking solution they use. They just maybe use the bank that they first got whenever they were a teenager and got their first job, or they just use the bank that was, in their hometown that their parents recommended they use. So usually there's not a lot of thought that comes with choosing a bank. But really in the last decade, there's been a big surge in popularity of online banking. And one of those online banks is SoFi, which is short for social finance. It was founded in 2011 and they've become very popular over the years due to their many different offerings. They offer a checking and savings account, an investment platform, a budgeting solution known as SoFi Relay, and they offer tools to help you get auto loan refinancing and several other different things. But they have gotten a lot more notable as of late, and I wanted to make a review about it. So if you've seen a lot of the reviews about SoFi on YouTube, they have some outdated information because SoFi has been revamped in the last few months. So in early 2022, SoFi got its full bank charter, so they are an official bank now. And instead of SoFi Money, they now offer a checking and savings account. Obviously, there is more to a bank than just the interest rate. So I wanted to try SoFi out and see how it was. And it was an experience. So there is pros and cons to SoFi, and I'll start with the positives. So the first positive of SoFi, as I mentioned before, is that it has a higher than normal interest rate. You can get 1.25% APY currently on both the savings account and the checking account. So both, like a lot of online banks, they give you the high interest rate on just the savings account, and then the checking account has a lot lower or just no interest at all. But yeah, SoFi is really interesting in that, both savings and checking get the high interest rate. One thing to keep in mind about that is that in order to get the 1.25% APY interest rate, you have to have direct deposit enabled. There's no minimum amount you have to direct deposit, but you do have to have a monthly direct deposit from an employer. Another positive of SoFi as a bank account is their savings vaults feature. So obviously a lot of us, we have different goals that we're saving for. We are saving for an emergency fund, a down payment on a house, even though the housing market is really crazy right now, car maintenance, a vacation fund. We have different savings goals, and it can be hard at times to prioritize all these different savings goals when you just have one savings account. That big pot of money, it's hard to visualize your savings goals. Well, SoFi helps you out with visualizing your savings goals because they have the savings vaults feature, which allows you to split up your savings and create, you can name your savings vaults, emergency fund, car fund, house down payment fund, and that can better help you visualize your savings goals and see, exactly what you're saving for, all the different goals that you have. And a third positive about SoFi as a bank account is that I just really like their brand mission of, social finance, having awesome benefits, the high interest rates, creating, a low to no fee banking experience. I really love that. But I'm just not quite sure I could make SoFi my primary bank. And there are a few reasons why. So the first reason why I couldn't make SoFi my primary bank is there's no straightforward, no fee way to deposit cash. Since SoFi is an online bank account, they don't have any brick and mortar traditional banking locations. So if you want to deposit cash, you have to go through one of their partners You can go to Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Dollar Tree, all of those different places to deposit cash, but those places usually do impose a small fee. It's about $5 to deposit cash, and that's taken out of your deposit amount. So, if you want to deposit $100 in cash, you only $95 would end up in your bank account. SoFi also doesn't do cashier's checks. Now, cashier's checks are different from personal checks in that they're an official check made by the bank, and they're considered more reliable. Now, a lot of people don't really use them a lot, but they can be handy in a few different scenarios. So if you maybe have an old school landlord who wants you to make a deposit on an apartment, they usually ask for a cashier's check or, like official bank check. You can't get that at SoFi. Another reason you might use cashier's checks is if you're buying a used car, and rather than bringing a briefcase full of money to the dealership or the private person who's selling the car, you can bring the person a cashier's check instead. And it's considered more official, more reliable, and more safe than carrying a bunch of cash around. So SoFi doesn't offer cashier's checks. And for some reason, SoFi doesn't offer a payable on death / beneficiary option, which is a little strange to me because most long-standing banks do offer a payable on death option. And in my personal experience, it's a much quicker, straightforward way to make sure your money goes to the person you want it to, rather than writing it up in a will, which can be contested. And another really big downside for me with using SoFi as a bank account is that there is no native Zelle integration. Now, you are able to download the Zelle app and put in your SoFi debit card information and send money through Zelle that way, but there's a lower limit to doing that versus if you had native Zelle integration. Now, a few other things about SoFi. I won't go too deep into these, but I wanted to mention them. So SoFi, obviously, aside from SoFi checking and savings accounts, they offer other things such as SoFi Relay, which that's their SoFi's sort of budgeting / spending tracker tool that you can use, where it tracks your spending trends to see how much you're spending in different categories and how much you're bringing in and spending every month. And it works most of the time. In my experience, when I first signed up for SoFi, it was counting my balances twice, which was really weird. So it would count checking, savings twice. And then sometimes it just wouldn't connect to some of my other external accounts, because the way SoFi Relay brings in your external accounts that you have at other financial institutions is that you connect it through Plaid, and then it connects to the SoFi Relay. And some of my external accounts, just the connection would break, it wouldn't be reliable, so I wasn't always able to get an accurate picture of my spending and my income through SoFi Relay. So I personally wouldn't really use it as a spending tracker or budgeting tool. I prefer using You Need a Budget for that. So that was another downside for me. It can work most of the time, as I mentioned. So if you maybe don't like to budget and you just like to, casually look at where your money is going, then SoFi Relay could be a good option. Yeah. SoFi also does really have an awesome credit card. So the SoFi credit card gives you unlimited 2% cash back, $1,000 per year in cell phone coverage when you pay your cell phone bill with the credit card. It's a MasterCard World Elite, and it has no foreign transaction fees, so you can use it when you travel abroad without having to pay, any extra fees. And all of those benefits come with no annual fee. Some cards, have, a $99 a year annual fee. The SoFi credit card doesn't have an annual fee at all. So I really love using it as sort of my everyday credit card to get that unlimited 2% cash back, which in order to redeem the full 2% cash back, you do have to deposit it into your SoFi bank account, invest account, or loan account. If you don't do that, then you get 1% cash back. So just make sure you deposit it into your SoFi bank account, which you can do. You can turn on the auto redemption option where every month it will auto redeem your cashback rewards into an account of your choice. SoFi also allows you the ability to see your credit score in the app whenever you sign in. And in my experience, I have mixed feelings about this. So the SoFi credit score that they give you is based on the Vantage model. Now, a lot of lenders, when they're deciding whether to give you a loan and they're looking at your credit history, they're often looking at the FICO credit score, which is another scoring model. And they look at many different factors. They look at the FICO scoring model, they look at some other factors, but it doesn't really seem like a lot of lenders, just use that one, Vantage score model whenever they're looking at your credit worthiness to decide on a loan. So seeing the SoFi, your credit score in SoFi is nice, but just don't take it as a complete picture of, what your full credit worthiness is. So the big question is, would I use SoFi as my primary bank? No. No. So I really do still love SoFi. I love the brand mission. I love a lot of what they're doing. The SoFi Checking and Savings account, has that higher than normal interest rate, 1.25% APY, which is, higher than most other banks currently. But that really is one of the only main positives I really like about SoFi is the higher than normal interest rate. I do like the credit card, the 2% unlimited cash back, and I do somewhat appreciate the SoFi Relay despite it breaking on some of my accounts. But there just were a lot of downsides for me personally that just made me not want to use SoFi as my primary bank. So, I went through those before. No native Zelle integration, no cashier's checks. And then also SoFi has a very cluttered interface on their app. So whenever you log into their app, they have all of the tabs for banking, credit card, investing, and so forth. But there are a lot of other things on the interface. There's links to articles, different ads for different products, and I didn't really like that too much. When I log into my bank account, I want to use the products that I currently have. I don't want to be, upsold on new products. So every time I logged into the SoFi bank account, it was just very busy and I didn't appreciate that. So yeah, in closing, I personally wouldn't use SoFi as my primary bank account, but it is good and I will probably still continue using it for some of my savings goals. I'll have a portion of my direct deposit deposited into the bank account so that I can get that 1.25% APY, and I'll use the savings vaults features for that. So it does have some advantages for me and I'll still continue using it, but not as a primary bank account. But let me know what you think. Tell me if you use SoFi, if you use it as your primary bank, if you just use it for savings. Yeah, let me know, and I'll see you all next time.